What's good, gamers? Akalon here, of course. Welcome back to each and every one of you. Today's video, we're talking Titans. I know. We've been talking about cosmological forces for a while now in most of the videos, and the cosmological forces are really front and center, and there's a reason for it. In the War Within, Midnight, and the Last Titan, it's very clear, right, that the cosmological forces are coming back in full force. Now, I know what a lot of you are going to say, Akalon, I've had enough of this. I can't do any more cosmological forces. We've had enough, right? Shadowlands was good enough for us. And I would say to that, just very quickly, Shadowlands didn't fail because it dealt with the realms of death. Shadowlands didn't fail because we saw the realms of death in its glory. If that was the case, if that was the reason for Shadowlands' failure, then surely Legion should have failed as well, because a lot of that dealt with Sargeras and Sargeras' storyline. But it didn't. It would also then stand to reason that the very earliest expansion, vanilla, in World of Warcraft, right, before expansions even was a thing, should have failed as well, because it, in many ways, dealt with Cthulhu, which is one of the Void Lord's old gods, if you believe that. That's a whole story for a whole different day. No, that's not why Shadowlands failed. It's because it dealt with the cosmological force of death poorly. A lot of the story was incredibly disjointed. Once we did get to the what would have been the codifying story, a lot of that was just rushed through and sort of tried to get to the end of what that story would have been. And that's why it failed. Not because of some cosmological element that players just don't want to know. The story was simply just not connected enough to Azeroth. And since Azeroth is our home, and that is where players feel most at home, that was, I think, a huge oversight from Blizzard. We already know that that is not happening in the War Within, it's not happening in Midnight, and it's almost definitely not going to happen in The Last Titan. So I am not at all worried about this. But I do want to talk about the Titans after that massive tangent. But never mind. So what are the Titans? If you're watching this video, that is a very weird question to ask. I don't know why you're asking it, but I will tell you anyways in the shortest possible way. The Titans are beings of order. They say this in the Chronicles. They come from order. However, their place, the Pantheon, is in reality. We don't know why that is. Me and Pyromancer speculated that perhaps their access to Zeroth Ordis allowed them to build this platform that allowed it to escape the realms of order and get themselves into the realms of reality, which gives them pretty much a big leg up on the rest of the cosmological forces because, well, they have unfettered access to reality where all the others are sort of caught behind some kind of veil and they can't really make it in. Now, the Titans claim, according to the Chronicles, that their job is really nothing to be concerned about. They just go around the world and they sort of order everything, and put everything in its place, and that's it, right? That's the end of the game. They even, go so far as to expand a military force in Sargeras and Agrimar, and this force goes around and kills the demons who want to kill planets. The good guys of World of Warcraft. The problem, of course, with all of that is as soon as they reach Azeroth, the good guy act, well, becomes a little less good. Not gonna lie. Of course, not in the Chronicles. In the Chronicles, the Titans are doing all the good things, The Titans are going around and they're ordering the planet and they're creating life and they're creating constructs, and then the old gods curse the construct and make the constructs into life, actual mortal beings, and then the mortal beings don't want anything to do with the Titans, and the Titans, build these engines, and all of this is meant to keep Azeroth safe from the very real and very dangerous old god threat. Except there's books in Dragonflight, the Odin Edicts, the Tyr Edicts, that show very clearly that the Titans kept a lot of secrets. And some of those secrets seem incredibly benign. It is not things that they necessarily have to lie about. It is not things that they have to keep from the mortals, and yet they still choose to keep it from the mortals. Like, for example, not even the location of Zeroth Ordis, which would be one lie, but no, the very existence of Zeroth Ordis is not to be known, because according to Odin, the mortals, our minds are small and puny, and we would not be able to understand just how magnificent the Titans are if we were to learn about the Azeroth Orders realms, of course. There's also a lot of lies if you look at the journal or the annotations journal of Deathwing or Naltharion, where Naltharion, shortly after succumbing to the Void for the very first time, Naltharion starts to make annotations to a lot of the writings of the Keepers, where he almost mocks the Keepers for some of the claims that they make. And where Naltharion is just like, lol, you didn't do this. What are you even talking about? And a lot of this actually runs right into the face of what the Titans claim they had did. One of them being that the Titans created everything. Naltharion openly mocks this, and he explains that there were so many things that were built long before the Titans even arrived on Azeroth. So many things existed on Azeroth long before the Titans arrived. And this is backed up by Odin's edicts, where Odin himself gives the order that there shall be no more talk of this nonsense that things existed before the Titans arrived. And then he sort of justifies this by saying, could anything ever really exist without being ordered first? You know, so really a very big justification, but in their, I guess, limited view, that does make sense. But there's more that's wrong with the Titans than just that. The Titans make no sense. Every single one of the Titans appear to be from different places. There are some that do seem to be from the realms of order, but there's specifically two that do not appear to be from the realms of order. The first is Aenar. Now, Aenar, everything about her screams life. No matter what you do, no matter how you cut it, why she is part of the realms of order makes no bloody sense. I get that people say, well, their job is to bring order to the realm. But if you look at the different cosmological forces, they exist specifically so that life can exist, so that, you know, the universe can exist. There is a cosmological force, life, that would create life. Aenar being in the realms of order, but being a Titan of life, doesn't make a lot of sense. The other one is Aman'Thul. Now, it is important to recognize that while we don't exactly know what the attacks and the exact attack makeup of the Titans look like, we can look, for example, at Aman'Thul's children, Odin and Tyr. Both Odin and Tyr have very specifically light-based attacks. Now, Odin is more like a warrior, but if you fight him, you go to his raid and you actually go fight Odin, a lot of his attacks are light-based. They have a light element to them. Tyr casts pretty much exclusively holy magic, which is part of light, right? It's the magic of light. Why would Aman'Thul have access to this magic? Why would Aman'Thul's children have access to this magic? They are of the realms of order. They should not have access to light. Light, again, is a cosmological force that exists specifically in order to ensure that life is possible. It should not be possible for beings of order to have access to this magic source. Now, in the past, I used to think, well, since light is just a magical source, anyone should be able to channel it. But the reason that is wrong is that's true for mortals, because mortals don't belong to a specific cosmological force, and therefore we seem to have the ability to call on any of the cosmological forces in order to make things happen. But if you are a being that was born and created within a specific realm, that realm contains its own power structures. In the case of order, arcane. Why then would you have access to any of the other cosmological forces and their powers? Because their powers is very much like yours. Is arcane? The light is light. Death has death magic and necromantic magics. The foul or the chaos? Yeah, that's foul magic right there. Each of these realms have its own powers that it uses, except Aman'Thul and Aenar appears to go wonky and just, use whatever power they want. This suggests to me the only possible solution is that Amanthul and Aenar, and perhaps not just them, aren't actually of order. Amanthul is of light, and Aenar is of life. I have said before, and I've said it many a times, there appears to be some kind of a deal that was struck between order, death, light, life, and to a very lesser extent, the twisting nether, with the void being held entirely out of the deal. The void does not get to be part of this deal. Life, on the other hand, I think has also been kept largely out of the loop, and only Aenar survived from that portion. Light has Amanthul. The other titans may or may not be from Zeroth Ordis, or may or may not be from the realms of order. And then on the side of death, there's at least some speculations about the Primus. Very specifically, one thing that I will point to, when the light attacked Revendreth, the Primus and the forces of the Necrolords did not come to the aid of Revendreth. Now, I know many of you will say, but hold on, Akalon. Denathrius is the one that actually first broke the rules. He was the one that, sort of broke the truce first. It doesn't matter. The Necrolords, their job, their main function within the Shadowlands is to defend the Shadowlands against any and all enemies. And yet, when Revendreth is attacked, the Necrolords do not go to help. In fact, they don't lift a finger. Even as Revendreth stands on the cusp of being completely and utterly destroyed, the Primus sends no help. The Shadowlands is under attack. Now, you could reprimand your brother, you could punish your brother, but if one of the realms of death is under attack, surely the force that is meant to control and safeguard the realms of death should come to its aid. Then, of course, in the realms of death, we also see the Winter Queen, which also doesn't appear to fit in, which is very strange to me, because she seems to be very much connected again to the realms of life. This is weird. This is not how it should be. Why is the light and life specifically found in places that it does not belong in? Now, I'll have a much greater video about the Primus and exactly what I think the Primus is up to. That's not really within the scope of today's video. I'm going to give you another bit of evidence, another sort of speculation theory about why the Titans are incredibly sus and what I think the Titans may be up to, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about that because this video is already 13 minutes long. I don't believe the Titans created the Well of Eternity by accident. Now, the way the story goes is that Yesaraj was the largest of all of the old gods, and that when the Titans arrived, they ripped Yesaraj out of the planet. And then that is what created the gaping wound that would ultimately become the Well of Eternity. The story further goes and explains how the old gods were all locked up where they stood because the Titans didn't want to risk it. I'll just pose this to you, and then you'll have to watch a future video where I'll go into a lot more detail about this. But I'll pose the following to you. What if the Well of Eternity was meant to be a power source? What if it was done on purpose? Because everything the Titans do appear to be incredibly well thought through. They definitely do experiments. They try things. They're very intuitive. They're very inquisitive. When you look on Azeroth, you look at Uldir, for example, you look at Gohun, it's very clear that Titans do a lot of experiments, and they run a lot of experiments, and they try different things, and they're always trying to inquire about the universe. Now, of course, they do that through a very limited scope, but they still trying to do it all the time. So why then would they have this moment of weakness and just rip Yeseraj out of the planet, nearly killing Azeroth, but then seemingly not? Lucky for us. And yet they create one of the most powerful fonts of magic that is known. In fact, the exact lore of the Well of Eternity suggests that the Well of Eternity, when it happened, it created a rift throughout all of the timelines. The Well of Eternity exists in every single one of the timelines everywhere because of that event. It was so powerful that it ripped into the timelines. Now, that maybe give us some insight into Azeroth and her power over the timelines. But I believe it was done with a very, very specific intent. I'll give you a small hint. Pyromancer made me aware of this because I completely forgot this. But in the Chronicles, the Titans write that when they arrived on Azeroth, Kalimdor, the Land of Eternal Stars, the original name for the super mega planet, continent, was one of the largest continents on Azeroth. It wasn't the only continent. It was the largest, but one of the largest. Not even the largest, just one of the largest continents on Azeroth. Ladies and gentlemen, the Titans are hiding a lot. And I will be going through that in probably the next video or the video after that. For now, all you need to know is that whatever we think we know about the Titans, it just isn't true. Not even close. Anyway, so enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Remember, $1 a month keeps the channel free from sponsorships that want to sell you shit that you absolutely do not need. The links to Patreon in the description down below. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, be kind to each other, be good to each other, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.